welcome to the Yarn Hoarders Knitting Podcast, Episode 1. My name is Sasha. I am coming to you from a very dark and grey town just outside of Birmingham in the West Midlands in England. So, I have decided to kind of just join in on the knitting conversation with my own little podcast, talking about what I've been making, what I've been working on, what I hope to be working on, and just basic stuff like that, really. I hope you'll stick around and see what I've been working on, and maybe it'll inspire you to start your own journey or find some new patterns that you like as well. So today I have decided to go over most of my whips. I think this is all of my whips, as well as 2 finished objects, which I wasn't planning on showing you, but I happened to finish them in the last 2 days. So the first one is just a pair of basic vanilla socks for a friend of mine whose birthday is later this month. They're just a simple vanilla sock pattern based off the basic cuff down pattern in this book, The Sock Knitting Bible by Lynne Rowe. See that there? But this is the book that taught me to knit socks, so if you're looking for a good simple book, I highly recommend this one. But yeah, that's my first finished object of 2025. I should probably say the date thinking about it. It is the 8th of January and it is 2:20. But yeah, really simple, basic pattern, 64 stitches. I knit these on a 2.75mm. I don't know what that is in US, I'm sorry. But yeah, 25 rounds of 2x2 rib. I think it was 60 rounds to the leg. Heel flap and gussets, which is my preferred method for knitting socks. And just a basic wedge toe. A good YouTuber probably would have got the ball bound to tell you what this yarn is. It is Rico Designs bamboo sock. It's 50% wool, 25% viscose, 25% nylon, I believe. If not, editing me, please insert it here. And my second finished object, very boringly, is another pair of vanilla socks. But they're these. So somebody could either say I am 3 months late or 9 months early, because these are Halloween socks. They are the Hobbii Halloween sock yarn. It's a 75-25 base. I can't remember the number, but I know these are called the vampire socks. I also did a contrasting heel. It's West Yorkshire Spinner's Marshmallow. I made a pair of socks in this colour for a friend a couple of years ago. Just figured I'd use up a little bit of scrap. But yeah, once again, it's 2x2 rib, heel flap, gusset, wedge toe. There isn't specifically a number for these, I just kind of followed the striping pattern, did a full stripe repeat in the cuff, 2 stripe repeats for the leg, and then the toes don't match because obviously when you're doing your foot you kind of need it to be the same length, and so yeah. But finished project number 2 for 2025. I'm off to a good start. It won't continue. And now on to whips. There is a pile that you cannot see right beside me. I suppose I should start with my currently the longest whip I've got. I started this January of last year, 2024. It is from this book, Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore, and I am knitting the Elizabeth I jumper. Is there a picture without giving away? So, this is a lovely book, but the glossy paper makes it really difficult to show. But I got given the yarn to make this by my other half 2 Christmases ago, and then I started it last January, and I am this far through the first panel. And I'm showing you the wrong side, which is really helpful. But it is a very... Oh, there we go, that's more colour accurate, if the lorry doesn't go past. So it's a nice rich green colour. And I love the pattern. I love the jumper. I want the jumper. But every time I picked it up, something was irking me and I would put it back down. I think I've worked out what it is and I'm in the process of remedying it, but I think it was to do with the tools. So this is knit on a 3mm needle. I'm using my interchangeables. The problem is with my interchangeable sets is for the 3mm, this isn't a problem on any of the other sizes, but the smallest one is the 3mm. And there is a bump where the needle joins to the cable, which means I was constantly wrestling to get the yarn on and off the needle. So I have ordered a fixed circular in the hopes that fixes the issue. We shall see. But it's a very nice pattern. It's well written. It's lovely. I think I've only got... That's the start of the armhole shaping. I think I've only got about 40, maybe 50 rows left of the first panel. I really want this, basically. And I'm hoping that by telling you this, you all nag me to finish this. And see if I can get a close-up on the details. So it's got a cable and lace centre design. It goes quite far down. I believe I'm knitting the biggest size, and I am following the pattern exactly, because I'm not a good enough knitter to try and bodge this to fitting me. But I also use a cable needle. I know some people out there can cable without a cable needle. I'm not brave enough to do that. People who can do that, god tier knitting. Let's not lose that again. Put this over here. I suppose we'll just go on order of how I've got them now. This is a crochet project. I mainly knit, I occasionally crochet. This will eventually be a hexagon cardigan. But it's currently using up scrap yarns. Specifically, this panel is using up my the leftovers of my West Yorkshire Spinner bird sock yarn. There is, I think, 4 different colours in here, maybe 5. There's definitely wood pigeon, pheasant, starling and owl, I want to say. I have a couple more bird yarns I mean to knit up in the future. They're currently sat in my chest of drawers over by my knitting corner, which I would have filmed in, but the lighting over there is terrible. But yeah, it's just a basic... I'm not following a pattern for this. Not exactly. I saw a video ages ago on how to do the hexagon, and I'm kind of making it up as I go along. This is not going to be finished this year. I have no delusions this is going to be finished. This is using scrap yarn. Generally, I don't have that much scrap yarn. I try and use up as much as I can in the project. Obviously with socks it's a bit different. But also I'm only using specific ones for this. This panel is the bird yarns. I'm playing with the idea of having the other side just using plain yarn, just the solid colours of West Yorkshire Spinner or other ones, but I haven't decided yet. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, probably 3 years from now, but you probably won't see this project all that much. It's currently in a Stylecraft tote bag. I honestly can't remember where I got this bag from, but this is a project you'll probably see once in a while, if I've picked it up that week, fortnight. And the next one, this is in a really lovely bag by Coffee and Yarn Cakes. I believe they have an Etsy store. This was a gift from my other half last year. It's lovely, it's so soft. It has a zipper and it has this really cute half moon charm, which you can probably use as a progress keeper. It does clip on and off. I just leave it on here to make it easier to open the bag. This project has hit a slight hiccup. I was knitting this on a 2.5 wooden needle from a really old set of mine, and the cable broke last night, so it's kind of stuck until I can get hold of a new one, which I'll just order it from my local yarn shop next time I pop in. But it is fingers gloves for my other half. I don't know how well the yarn is showing up, but it is using Patons Kroy sock. I picked this yarn up when I was visiting a friend in Toronto, Canada last year from Michael's. I originally planned on making socks with it for my other half. He has humongous feet and I did not realise this is a 50 gram ball. Yeah, I might make half a pair of socks. So I decided to make him some fingerless gloves. He is a bit of a techie. He works on the computer all day and he likes having fingerless gloves to work in because he's a little bit delicate and gets cold. Who am I kidding? I'm a cold person. I'm always cold. And sticking on the Toronto yarn. Moving on to another project using yarn I bought from Michael's in Toronto. This is not going to show up very well at the moment. So it is going to be a jumper that I have self-drafted. When I cast it on, I'd originally planned on just making an infinity scarf because I only bought one ball. Fell in love with the yarn and asked my friend to go and pick up some more, and is currently probably halfway across the Atlantic at this moment in time. It is Caron Latte Cakes in the colour Velvet Teal. It's this beautiful, yes, it's self-striping. It is striping up quite nicely. It is it's an acrylic and nylon blend. I don't normally knit with a lot of acrylic. I find it quite rough on my hands. I actually quite like this. This is really nice. It's really soft. I'm guessing because of the nylon. But it is lovely. And it is bottom up because, as I said, I did not originally plan on it being a jumper when I started it. Luckily, I did cast on enough stitches to make it a jumper, so I didn't have to frog it. I have sewn the cast on edge down to make, I believe it's called a hung hem. Yeah, it's about ready for me to split for the front and back. I plan on just making this a drop shoulder because I have a feeling trying to pick up stitches with this yarn, I'm going to be cursing the day I cast this on when I pick up stitches, so we're not going to attempt any fancy shaping. But yeah, I don't know how well the colours are coming out, but it's this lovely sort of greens and blues. But yeah, there's that. Also just kept in a tote bag. This is from the Yarn Stravaganza. It's event run, I think, yearly by local yarn stores. My local yarn store participates in it and is giving away bags with purchases, so I'm not going to say no to tote bags. It's quite nice quality too. And my next project, I honestly don't know why this isn't finished. Like, I could have probably finished this in an afternoon if I wanted to, but it's been sat in my knitting corner for probably since September. And that's quite a bit brighter on the screen, but let's see if I hold this. That's a little bit more colour accurate than that, but it's more of a mustardy colour rather than a chartreuse, I think it's called. But and yeah, it's crochet. It's a granny square bag, and I literally just need to do a round in grey around this one, join it, and do a handle. I could have finished this in an afternoon, and it's been sat in purgatory apparently. I believe this is 100% cotton. Once again, I probably should have saved a label. But yeah. This could be an easy win. I've also got to work out what hook I was using, because apparently I didn't think to mark what hook I was using. And it's not on my Ravelry either. So, that might be finished next time. But that might still be sat in purgatory. We'll see. And my last whip. Is that really everything? My last active whip is in a bag I actually made myself. I don't sell them or anything. I've just been experimenting with my new sewing machine. I had a bunch of fat quarters and leftover fabric, so I made a bag. I don't know if it's really noticeable, maybe, but kind of there, I suppose. It was just a fat quarter set that I got for Disney Princesses of Snow White. It's quite nice, I like it. So, this is another crochet project. I already had more crochet projects than I realised. And the hook has just come out. Excellent. Let's just find that and put that back in before I lose any stitches. But this is just, I believe it's called open work crochet. It's just, we call them trebles in the UK. I think the Americans call it doubles, but it's just trebles and chain spaces basically. And there is actually a funny story about this project. So using this yarn, I don't know what this yarn is. I went to Woollet Junction 13 a couple of years ago. This was in the sort of stash swap section. It doesn't have a label. All I can tell you is that it's a lace weight yarn. And so I thought, oh, I'll pair it with some mohair. This is the first time I've ever properly worked with mohair. I thought I could get away with using one ball of mohair for one ball of lace weight. A 25-gram ball of mohair. It was a discontinued Debbie Bliss Angel mohair. It's the one with a silver thread running through it. So I got probably about halfway through what I've got now, maybe a little bit more, and ran out of yarn. So after much internet searching, much cursing the day I picked that yarn up, I eventually settled on a substitute of the Hobbii Diablo? I think it's Diablo glitter. This is a gold thread running through it, not silver. So it's kind of noticeable. But trying to find a mohair with a silver thread, well, I found one, but I wasn't willing to pay £20 a ball when I needed to buy 5 of them. Because this isn't a project I plan on wearing all that much. It was mostly to use up yarn out of stash. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm a mohair knitter. It was okay. And then I got this one, and I like Hobbii yarns. I do not like this. It's, if you attempt to work on it when you're warm, it's sticky, it sticks to you, it goes everywhere. But price, it was a decent price. I have been working on this slowly and steadily. I will eventually finish it. It's not a big priority for me. This is meant to be sort of a fancy wrap to wear with sort of fancy dresses on a night out, sort of, you know, you go out with your partner, you have a meal, you go for a couple of cocktails, you know, that sort of thing. But I don't do that often, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why I decided that. But, yep, that's what this is for. So, I add maybe a couple of rows every now and again. Once again, this might not be one you see every episode. It might only get shown when there's been significant progress. But, yeah. And that's my last active whip. I'll be honest, I actually thought there was more when I was gathering this together. But, yeah. And that's that. So, yeah, I have one more thing to show you, which will probably be my next cast on, as well as how I am tracking. So, the last few years I've been trying to track what I use, what I make. I started a blog at the beginning of 2023. Kind of fell by the wayside last year due to stuff you don't really want to know about. But I've been trying to track how much I use. So, I have a book here. It's just a fancy-ish one that I found in Poundland. Although, hilariously, I think this is actually £1.50. But, so far, this is how I am tracking this year. So, amazingly, I already have 2 finished objects for this year. Who am I? But I've also got last year's. There's a couple of names on this that I'm going to blur out because they haven't given me permission to tell their names on the internet, but this was last year's, or half of last year. That was the other half. I did quite well, to be honest. I did have a make 9 for last year. My goal was not to make all 9 projects, but to make 5 of them, and I actually succeeded. I'm not usually good when people put goals and expectations on me. I'm not the greatest at sticking to them, especially if I've put them there, but I actually did quite well. I'm actually quite impressed with myself. Big head here. And the last thing I want to show you, it's in another bag I made myself, also from a Snow White Fat Cork pack. I actually messed this one up. I put the, when you turn them out, I actually put it on the outside instead of the inner lining. You learn. But this is my next cast on. I'm not doing a no cast ons in January. If I want to cast something on, I cast something on. And I've already finished 2 this month. I think I deserve a cast on. It's another Hobbii Halloween. This is colour 7. I think it's the Scary Sock, maybe? But it's like orange and grey and black, and on knitting these for a friend of mine. His birthday is in July, and he quite likes Halloween. I think he'll like these. This is not his main present because he'd probably kill me if the only thing I gave him was socks. But yeah, that's probably going to be my next cast on. I will also knit these on a 2.75 because they're for a man. Don't know if I mentioned. These socks are for me, and I knit these on a 2.5mm needle. Yeah. When it comes to men's socks, I find they need to be a little bit bigger, but generally not big enough to justify going up 2 or 3 sizes. So I just use a slightly bigger needle, which gives them the space they need. Unless I'm knitting socks for my other half, because he has clown feet, and he requires 72 stitches on a 2.75mm needle. So, yeah. That's my current whips. Current finished objects, which is amazing for me. And yeah, I have a few small goals for this coming year. I'm not on a no-buy or anything. I'm not on a specifically trying to reduce my stash. More just trying to knit some of my older yarn. Sort of 2 or 3 projects with older yarn, 2 or 3 projects with newer yarn. Try and finish a couple of my longer standing whips, specifically my Elizabeth jumper. But I don't have any specific goals, basically. I see my crafting as fun. It's my way of relieving stress. I craft. I can't sit still. I've always got to be doing something with my hands, which is why I have a lot of knitting and a lot of different projects. I've usually got a sock on the go, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't say I'm a prolific sock knitter, but they're really easy to just take out on the go with you. To just sit in front of the telly with the light off and just mindlessly knit, and then you realise you've gone too far and have to tick back 6 rows to start the heel. But yeah. I've got a couple of ideas for stuff I want to cast on. I don't know if I'm going to cast any of that on this month, but I do have some of this yarn. It's another one I picked up from Toronto. It's the Caron Blossom Cakes. I think it's it's a cotton and acrylic blend. It does feel quite nice. I have 4 cakes of this, plus another one currently on its way across the Atlantic. I plan on knitting a dress with this for next Christmas. I know people don't want to hear the C word just yet, but with how long it's going to take me to knit this, I will probably be starting this probably in the next few months to make a dress. Probably stop working on it over the summer if it's not finished, because it's going to be so heavy and hot by then. But that's probably the only concrete plan I've got, other than a few pairs of socks. But yeah, I hope you will join me on this little journey, and yeah, I hope you'll return next time. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do this weekly, fortnightly or monthly, but I hope you'll join me. And with that, happy making!